Congress, and when you petitioned to Congress, they wanted to enter as a slave state, and there were those that didn't want them to. So it took them a little bit longer, and it was a little bit harder, and a gentleman named Henry Clay. Recognize that name?
We recognize that name.
Yeah, we recognize it.
We recognize that.
You have to worry about that.
That gentleman, Henry Clay, is what created the Missouri Compromise.
What name?
And
Well, he ran for president 3 times.
so he created what was called the Missouri Compromise, so we got to become a state. And in 29, the McClures and the Campbells and the Alexanders all came to Missouri, all came to what was St. Charles County. And in 1846, like I talked about last night, when the Alexander kids that had been orphaned grew up and they partitioned the estate to separate them by their value, not by their family. When they separated those families up and created 4 lots, one to go to each child, that's when Louisa and Archer got separated. And Archer eventually became the slave of a Richard Pittman. And this was the family graveyard to the Pittman family. Now, Richard Pitman is not buried here. Later on, he left town. He's buried out in California. But his family had been here from very early on. He was rich. He was one of the Revolutionary War soldiers. And these were men that when they served in the East in the Revolutionary War, in those days they didn't pay them money and a monthly salary. When the war ended, they got their pay in form of a land warrant. That means we're not going to give you money, we're going to give you land.
You mean our 40 acres in the mill?
It was in 1812 it was a little different. There was no mule. They got 40 acres. That's all they got. And they did get their 40 acres, and Richard Pitman's father, John B. Pittman, received his 40 acres. As we came down the highway end, you may have noticed some cedar grove trees, and that's where the house that I showed in the picture last night actually sat. So I started researching St. Charles County 30 years ago, and there's all these stories. I knew about the Pittman family back 30 years ago, but I didn't know about who his slaves were.
And connecting
I didn't
dots.
know. It's all coming together, and it's important to. This is the property that was the farm that Archie was running from. This was
Could you do me a
his
favor?
master.
Could you repeat that again?
This is the property of the farm. This is the farm of Richard Pitman, who Archie was fleeing from. This is one of the men involved in the story that he told to the Union troops. And that we're going to see today.
Is that far from here?
Just here for support.
We're going. I wanted to start with this, and we will, as the day goes on, I will share not only the Pittman family, but I'm going to share the new creek that's been renamed in tribute to Archer Alexander. We're going to see that in a minute. And then we're going to go to the Campbell house, and I will share that story. And then we're going to go to where the fort was that where the Union troops were guarding the railroad. We're going to see all of those today before March.
Could you put up something for me though?
Sure.
Archer's first wife came to be with him, but had to come back to the Pittmans to pick up something, and how was it? Somebody hit her in the head, and how she passed away. You get clear that up.
Okay. This is fine, Cedric.
No, I'm serious,
you always
guys.
ask the tough questions.
I'm serious.
But it's important because there's so many different stories.
Stories, that's what I'm saying.
And exactly. So when Archer comes to Missouri, he's with the family James H. Alexander.
How old is he?
We don't know because we don't know exactly when he's born. We have everything from 1806 to 1816. So I would say he was about 19 years old because I sort of take a compromise of 1810. So he's about 19 years old,
Okay.
and he's one of 10 slaves. There are 10 slaves at that time that James H. Alexander has. James H. Alexander brings him and Louisa.
Yes.
They're both together at that time. We don't know how many children or if they had children at that time, but they're both the property of James H. But see, what happened is James H. died right away. That's 1829. That's at the same time that Wesley is born in Louisville.
Right.
So there's that question of why is Wesley born back in Louisville and never comes to Missouri. We don't know the answer to that. We don't know all the answers yet. I just know for certain because of church records and church membership that Archer and Louise are part of James H. Alexander's property. But when he dies in 1835, his wife has already died, and they're buried in the Darden Presbyterian Church. He is an elder, just like Eliot says. He's an elder of the Presbyterian Church, not only back in Virginia, but here. He owns a lot of land by that right that he's inherited from his father, who died in 28. So James H. is the father of 4 children, 2 sons, John.
Getting back to Louise, please.
What happens is those 4 children become orphans. And these slaves, Louise and Archer and all of them, are left here in Missouri. And they're left at the house that I'm going to show you next. They actually helped to build that house, but I'm getting ahead of it because you're saying that. All I can, at this point that I want to get across is they've come all the way from Rockbridge, Virginia, through Louisville, where they stopped for 2 days. And that at that point, they have come on to St. Louis and to St. Charles County and to this place expressly because there's a lot of family and relatives that have already come from Virginia that lived in this area. The 1829, I'm sure they traveled by horse and wagon and probably a big Conestoga wagon, but the slaves would have walked.
The reason I was curious
was eventually owned by Richard Pitman, right?
And after 1846, because it's in 1846 that the heirs have grown up enough of James H. Alexander, and that the slaves, by that time it's grown from 10 slaves to 18 slaves, which tells us, too, that Louisa and Archer were having children during that time period.
Exactly.
That's why I named those 7 children last night.
Yeah. And I think
John Pitman is Richard Pitman's father. He's a Revolutionary War hero, and he had come to Missouri much earlier. And Richard Pitman bought from one of the heirs, he bought Archer.
Okay.
James Naylor buys Louisa.
See, the reason I'm asking the question, Doris, and forgive me everyone thinking that I may be rude or jumping ahead of myself, I'm often drawn into the story by the personal tragedies that formulate lives and how people bounce off and how things take place in the pantheon of what we're all doing. Louisa, supposedly, as I understand it...
Yes, she did, but I like to tell us... I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Cedric,
sorry, go ahead.
Let me interrupt. it helps to explain the story chronologically,
Uh-huh.
and we're talking 50 years.
So I'm too
When
married.
Louisa gets killed, I'll tell you.
Okay, then that's what I really want.
I'm
I'm trying
sorry
not to jump
interrupt.
to the end of the book, but I just.
Yes, I can tell.
Yeah.
You're one of those that like to see the last page.
Well,
first.
it's a New York thing. You know, you get into New York, everything has to be. But I'm back here now, so slow
So
it down.
when the heirs got the slaves, they sold all of them off.
Well, I'm working on getting a lot closer. It was only the night before you all came that I found finally in the probate. I wasn't looking for it because James H. left a will. One of the important things that James H. Now, mind you, he's a young man. He's lost his father in 28. He's just lost his wife in 34. And in his will, he expressly states the slaves are not to be sold. And that they're not to be taken out of the county unless they want to.
Oh,
Unless the slaves want to.
Exactly.
yeah.
Which is a very unusual thing that I've never seen before. But James H. does
He's a good man.
say that.
Good man.
He really was concerned. True, the reason, this is the times, the reason that he wants the land to be maintained and that he wants those slaves to stay is to support those
He
four
had some
children,
alternative motives
those
too.
orphan children.
Doris, this story is more interesting than Alex Haley's Roots. It really is.
I think so.
Yeah.
It really
It's much
explains
more
a lot of what was really going on at that time.
It's a great explanation about the woven
He
fabric
thinks
of
it's a better
America,
story
of
than
America and
Alexander Haley's Roots.
how it came about, especially with our connection and how close we are. We're connected to everyone. 6 degrees of separation from everyone. Yeah.
Yes,
Who was considered to be like thieves?
Yeah.
the Union troops and that.
No. The white slave owner who was looked upon more like a Union steward.
Yeah, okay, fine.